What's up, guys? In this video, this is a long video where I'm going to go super deep on what I would do if I was starting to do my own guitar covers and I wanted help just getting started. This is a really crucial point, I think, when people start. It's really easy to do a lot of wrong things and to waste a bunch of time and to go down roads that aren't ultimately going to get you to where you want to go. So if you want to not go down those bad roads, this is the video for you, okay? So let's just jump into it. All right. So the strategy. We're going to talk about developing the core skill. Train your ear so you can figure out what notes you're hearing in an MP3. Then we're going to talk about getting the right system. Use the best tools and tactics possible to make arranging quick and efficient. And then practice by doing. Start arranging simple stuff so you get your hands dirty ASAP. Super important. Now, most arrangers, they're slowly making subpar arrangements that are rarely finished. Lots of unnecessary struggle along the way. You see that guy? He's all wrapped up like a mummy. You don't want to be like that. You want to be like this guy with icicles coming off his body. You want to be an optimized arranger, creating the best arrangements they're capable of in a fraction of the time using a systematic approach. I used to be this guy on the left. Now I'm this guy on the right. I have icicles coming off my body. Settle in and stick around if you're serious about leveling up your arranging skills. You want to use all the tools at your disposal to cut your arranging time down by as much as possible. You want to work smarter, not harder, to create more, better arrangements. You love the idea of capturing a piece of music as accurately as possible. And you want to train the most important skills in order to get better at arranging long term. All right, so before we dive into stuff, why the heck should you even listen to what I have to say about guitar arranging? Who am I, dude? Well, I've been playing guitar since I was 10 years old. I'm 38 now. Actually, by the time this video comes out, I'll probably be 39. You do the math. You can figure out my birthday. I got a bachelor's in music, performance, and composition. I went from playing in front of almost nobody to playing in front of thousands of people. Whoa, that's a cool photo, isn't it? It's the most impressive photo of me ever. But none of that matters. Here's what does. I've completed about 150 solo guitar arrangements and about 50 duets. So 200 big, beefy arrangements. This is just me scrolling through all of them in my tab database. There's a lot, and there's actually more now. I took this video a while ago. So I've been doing this for a while. See, this says 141. It's more than that now. Okay, chill out. And I've got a lot of views on my YouTube channel. Hey, cool. People like my arrangements. A lot of people have bought my tabs on my Patreon page. Cool. Very cool. Right? Bragging. I don't know why there's a black version of this this slide. Okay, but before all that, long ago I downloaded a classical guitar tune called Classical Gas that blew my mind. I decided I had to learn it. I didn't know about tabs back then, so I decided to learn it by ear. I literally sat there and I learned this thing by ear. It was hard and took forever. But I eventually reached the finish line. It was one of the most satisfying musical accomplishments I've ever achieved. It opened the door to what was possible and ultimately led to my current career as a guitar arranger, straight up. I sucked back then, so arrangements and transcriptions took a long time and they were kind of weak. But over the years of stumbling around, I slowly got better and my arranging got faster and faster. And the quality got better. They got more robust and accurate over time. And the quantity increased. I was able to easily complete 2 big arrangements per month while doing other projects. And nowadays, I can easily crank out 1 arrangement a day if I want. Usually, I can do that in a matter of hours. There's some videos on my YouTube channel now of me doing just that. Okay, how? I developed a system. The system allowed me to eliminate all the redundant and inefficient actions that made arranging more difficult and slower than it needed to be. Okay, so instead of stumbling around in the dark like I did, you can learn from my mistakes. Save yourself literal years of unnecessary struggle and start making awesome guitar arrangements as fast as humanly possible, bro. Step 1, ear training. You got to get good at the core skill. So a great ear is not some God-given gift, all right? You just need to put the right information into your brain like I did, and you will improve. This is what I call the music theory myth. Fight me in the comments right now. Fight me right now. You need to know lots of music theory to be good at arranging. No. Okay, the fretboard fallacy. Dude, the alliteration. You need a robust knowledge of the fretboard to be good at arranging. No. Okay, the chord shape sham. That one's kind of stupid. You need to memorize lots of chord shapes to be good at arranging. No. Okay. I don't use music theory or any of that stuff when I arrange. Yeah, literally I don't, okay? I use the core skill of pitch recognition. This is simply the skill of hearing individual notes and remembering them long enough to find on your guitar. That's it, okay? If you get good at this one skill, you'll be able to arrange anything. So essentially it looks like this. A chord plays through various methods. You will be able to hear the notes that make up that chord. You remember it long enough to find it on your guitar. Okay, that's literally it. I can only speak for myself and the other skilled arrangers I have met, but the one thing they have in common is great pitch recognition. This is because of the complexity involved in guitar arranging. Theory just cannot get you there. You need to be able to pick out every note and every chord. Your ear is the final judge and decides whether or not the note you think you're hearing is actually in the song or not. There's no exceptions. Your ear makes or breaks everything. There's no way around this. Okay? You might be great with theory, but if you have a bad ear, how would you know that that A major 7 chord is indeed the right chord? The only thing that can tell you yes or no is your ear. If your ear is bad, you'll probably put tons of interesting wrong chords in your arrangement. So you have to train your ear, but you have to do it in the right way. So most ear training apps train you on like things like intervals, chord qualities, scales, modes, keys. Unfortunately, while these things do help, they don't help much. If you're focused on arranging, okay, caveat, if you're focused on arranging, okay, the vast majority of ear training apps are an inefficient use of your time. We need to train pitch recognition. Here's how. Okay, you listen to a chord, you latch onto a note, you locate it on your guitar. Now, I know you're thinking, dog, duh, Sam. But it really is that simple, okay? Think of weightlifting, for example, okay? You pick up a weight, you put it down, and you repeat, okay? That's quite simple, right? So why do some people get ripped and some don't, okay? Progressive overload, right? You slowly increase the difficulty over time. You make sure you're consistent with it, for example, making sure you do it like 3 times a week. And also you have to eat a bunch of food, which will not help with arranging, unfortunately. I've tried, okay? Now, back in the day, I would do this with my students. Number 1, I would play a random note on my guitar without them looking. Bing, okay? They would try to locate that note on their guitar using their ears. So they'd peck around and try to find it. And, maybe they'd find it, maybe they wouldn't. And I would repeat that sequence. Once they could do a single note, I'd increase the difficulty to 2 simultaneous notes. Such a weird piece of art there. It's AI, dude. I'm sorry, guys. My students quickly got better at pitch recognition through this simple method. But what if there was a way for me to train you using this method? Okay, well, I made an app that does exactly that. It plays a chord. You find notes one at a time until you figured out the whole chord. Okay, then you move to the next random chord and repeat. It's got difficulty levels, okay? Level 1 is 2 notes spaced apart. Level 2 is 2 notes close together. Level 3 is 3 notes. And level 4 is 4 notes. Okay, here's how you practice. You set your level. You grab your guitar, you press the speaker icon to play the current chord, you listen for the highest pitch, you peck around on your fretboard until you found it, you click the top question mark, okay, did you get it right or not? And then you repeat the same process for the bass note, and then you repeat the same process for the inner notes if you're on a difficulty that has inner notes. Kind of basically looks like this. And actually, let me see if I can get the audio coming out here so you can kind of hear it. Right, so you play a chord. Audio's going to sound like crap, but can you try to find that top note? Try to find it, click it, and you uncover the notes if you think you found them. That's literally it. Okay, and then you go to the next random chord, right? And I think, what is that top note? I try to find it. Did I find it or not? I think it's this, right? And then I'll click that top note. Oh, I got it right. Cool. Then I'll try to find the bass. Then I'll try to find the inner note. All right. So, dude, check this out, man. Look at this guy at the top not doing any ear training at all. Small brain, okay? Don't be like that guy. You want a big, beefy brain. Very foldy, okay? Practicing recognizing intervals, chords, qualities, etc., dude. That's kind of sick. And then you realize, dude, arranging is just pitch recognition. Dude, it's not it's not interval and chord identification, okay? And then the last guy, dude, if you want your brain to be bigger than the skull that contains it, is using an ear training app made specifically for guitar arranging. The best part, I'll give you the app for free, dude. You get it for free, bro. So you can take that ear, dude. You can train it like a muscle, bro. Okay? Now, the ear takes a while. It's going to take some time. You know, it gets better slowly because it is like a muscle, but it will happen. Okay? You want to commit to like somewhere around, I don't know, 20 chords a day. That doesn't take that long, honestly. 20 chords a day is like 140 chords every week. That's 600 chords a month. That's 7,200 chord attempts in a year. That would be sick, okay? And at the end of this, I will show you how I can get that for free if you want it. Now, let's talk about the system, all right? Arranging as efficiently as possible. Some big mistakes arrangers are making. Check this out, dude. Not writing their arrangements down as they go. Do a somersault if any of these apply to you, and keep doing somersaults if any of the subsequent ones do apply to you, okay? Risk of forgetting what they're arranging, okay? Wasted mental energy doing things that software can do with a click. Okay, not using the best possible software. I know some of you guys are doing some cartwheels right now. Difficult time with transposition and tuning, having to jump between programs to listen to the MP3 versus input notes, inability to freely manipulate individual notes like the melody or bass, or not easily being able to slow the audio down. Someone's getting dizzy out there, and I know it's not me because I do all this. Not using a systematic approach with each arrangement, okay? Feeling like you don't know where to start. Inability to move linearly through the arranging process, and straight up unpredictable results. Or not having a razor-tight workflow, which leads to slow note input, redundant actions, and redoing things unnecessarily. Screw that, dude. You can stop doing cartwheels now. How do I know these are problems that lead to slow, arduous arrangements? Because I used to do each one, bro, okay? I used to memorize as I went. I used inefficient software. In the beginning, I didn't use any software. I didn't have a system, and my workflow sucked, okay? And I'm so glad I don't do that stuff anymore. Even when I started using software, I'd have multiple windows open. I'd have one for the audio. I'd have one for the score. Even when I used like a fancy audio program for the MP3, I'd easily lose my place in the audio, so I had to make markers all over the place, and switching between windows was a huge pain. Also, I didn't have a good system for actually inputting the notes I was hearing into the program I was using. All right? This led to a painfully slow slog through each arrangement. All these little things may not seem like a big deal, but they add up, okay? So making markers, refinding your place in the MP3, difficult note location manipulation, hard to try out multiple keys, problems testing out tuning, needing to transpose in your head, lack of screen real estate, longer time gap from hearing a note to inputting it, okay? And that can lead to you kind of forgetting it. More difficulty isolating chords to listen to. Over the course of an entire arrangement, those like little things can add up to hours of wasted time and drain your energy, bro. Okay, this leads to unfinished arrangements and stagnation, even quitting the skill as a whole. If you don't arrange consistently, you don't get better, okay? And you keep sucking at it. It keeps on being hard. So this is the flywheel of suck, all right? Having an inefficient arranging process leads to slow arranging and energy drain, which leads to poor progress on your arrangements and eventually giving up. And then that leads to stagnation with the skill as a whole, and so you don't get better at it, okay? I guess it doesn't really lead to having an inefficient arranging process. Maybe. Let's just say it does, okay? Now check this out, dude. This is the flywheel of sick, all right? Bettering your arranging process? Dude. Quicker arranging with less effort. Dude. More solid progress and more finished arrangements. Dude. Actual improvement and more time spent efficiently arranging, which gets you better at the arranging process. And then you get freaking sick, dude. It's the flywheel of sick. Get on it. All right? Now, before you can dive into the system and workflow, you need to get the tools in place. There's no better piece of software for making guitar arrangements than Guitar Pro. If you're arranging and not using it, I literally feel bad for you. Okay, it's that big of a deal. It's honestly huge. I've tried other stuff. I've had a lot of students use other stuff like MuseScore and stuff. Sorry, Guitar Pro is it. In Guitar Pro, you can drag and drop your MP3 audio directly onto the score. This is a game changer, y'all. No more multi-window bullcrap, okay? Then you sync the audio to the score, okay? So that every measure in the audio is synced to the exact same spot in the score, note for note. Okay, you see this? Like this blue stuff over here? Dude, that blue stuff, that's the first measure. And see, it's sunk with the audio. Synced? Sunk, synced. Measure 2. Sync with measure 2, measure 3 with 3. You get me, dude. Trust me, syncing is an absolute game changer. If you just implement syncing into your arranging process, your workflow will improve significantly. Okay, number one, no more getting lost in the audio, having to refine the part you're on. Number two, easily hear a precise chunk of audio, like a chord or note. Number three, you can repeat that chord or note with the click of a button, getting more reps quicker, which equals quicker note finding, okay? And then number four, you can see the rhythms visually with the waveform for easier rhythm selection. So here's the other great thing about using software. Okay, it turns notes into data, which can be manipulated. So you can easily test out new note positions. This is a huge part of the arranging process. You guys might have seen in some of my videos, I do this at the end, but if I didn't have the software to actually experiment and move notes around and see that, oh, this 5 can easily be played up here, it would suck. It would take way longer. Or you could cycle through different keys until you find the perfect fit. And this is actually exactly what I do. This is how I find keys. I just cycle through them. Or you could focus on a single voice like the melody without altering the bass. So I could take, for example, the whole melodic line or just certain notes of the melody, and I could move them to different strings if I want to. And then the bass can just stay exactly where it is. So get Guitar Pro, all right? There's a 20% off link. I'll be clear with you, it is an affiliate link in the description. You can use it if you want. They recently gave me a 20% off affiliate link, which is kind of sick. I was using one from the net before, but they just gave me one, okay? But that will be in the description if you want to save a little bit of money on Guitar Pro. I think it ends up being 53 or something bucks, 55, 53, something like that. All right. But listen, it's not just about what Guitar Pro can do natively. It's also about what we can do with Guitar Pro. Okay, let me explain. Think of Guitar Pro as if it were a car. All right, Guitar Pro equals car. All right, trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. Guitar Pro. Most people who drive can use the standard features like automatic transmission, like GPS nav, like cruise control. All right. But in my program, the Guitar Arranging Accelerator, we take things to the next level. I'm going to talk a little bit about my course now, okay? We're like a professional race car driver who knows how to drift around corners and use advanced racing techniques, dog. These methods aren't in the manual, but make the car perform even better and faster. And don't go away. Listen, there's still a lot more to learn in this video, okay? But I will plug my course eventually. Similarly, we maximize Guitar Pro's potential by using unconventional methods that significantly speed up the arranging process. Okay, I've been using Guitar Pro for a long time and have developed tons of time savers along the way. You see how fast Guitar Pro is moving along that windy countryside road? You did see that. Okay, but before we get into some advanced tactics, I'm going to give you an overview of my entire arranging system. All the steps to take a song through the entire arranging process from start to finish look like a flowchart. So this is the actual flowchart that we use in my course here. You start with basically an MP3 at the top, and then by the end of it, you have a finished, polished, ready to practice MP3 at the bottom. So it works like a roadmap, so you know exactly what to work on at what specific time, so you never get lost along the way. Now, I want to talk about the order of operations. So it starts with melody rhythms, then I do melody pitches, then rough bass, then key and tuning, then bass rhythms, then bass pitches, then counter melodies, then inner notes, and then note position and fingering, okay? Now, in this presentation here, I'm just going to talk about melody rhythms because I think it's pretty easy to understand and implement like really quickly, all right? So one of the simplest and most effective hacks for speeding up your process is by entering rhythms first. So you start with the rhythms first of a piece, all right? Then you overwrite those rhythms with pitches. Here's why. Remember when we talked about the syncing before, where like every measure in the audio is synced to that exact same spot in the score? When you enter rhythms first, it's like slicing the MP3 into selectable chunks. This means you can easily repeat any note or chord with the tap of a button. So look at what I did here is I took the melody of this little piece of music and I put in the rhythms first. Now watch what this allows. What I can do is I can select any chunk of it and just hear that chunk. Maybe you want to hear these last eighth notes. Maybe I just want to hear that second to last eighth note or whatever. This is super, super valuable and makes the arranging process way faster, way easier. It's so much better than scrubbing around through the MP3 in order to repeatedly play a chord you want to hear. So some of you guys who are already arranging, maybe you're already doing this or know what I'm talking about, but you know, you're sitting there with this big long MP3 or whatever, and then you're like trying to find a particular chord, and you have to keep on putting the playhead back. And that's why I used to use like markers in like Studio One. In order to do this, I'd put a marker down so that I could just press play and hear that chord over and over again. But when you do it like this, it's like the piece is divided into perfect markers throughout the entire thing, and you can easily select any given amount of the music and hear it with the tap of a button. Okay, it's amazing. Not only that, but it makes the process of pitch entry faster and even allows us to do most of our note entry with one hand. What, dude? Left hand on the fretboard figuring out pitches, and right hand on the mouse inputting notes. Okay, one-handed input is insane for arranging speed. Here's what it looks like in action. This is actually me arranging something. I right-click on the notes that I want. I use the guitar fretboard view. And obviously that was a very fast example, but I'll actually peck around for notes on my left hand. I do hammer-ons, and then I'll input that stuff with the right hand. Now, I know this all seems a little weird and unorthodox, but trust me, if you get comfortable with these methods, your arranging will get easier and faster. Okay? There are lots of other tricks we go in depth on in the Guitar Arranging Accelerator, but start with these for now. All right? Number 1, get Guitar Pro. Number 2, sync your MP3s in the software. And number 3, enter rhythms first. All right? I promise arranging will get faster and easier for you after a tiny learning curve. Okay? It takes a second to get used to this stuff, but I guarantee you it's so much faster. Now, let's talk about the last thing, practice, how to get better long-term at this stuff. So arranging is a skill. And just like any skill, you have to practice consistently to get really good. Using an awesome system gets rid of inefficiency, but you still have to get in there and use the system to improve. Even if you have the workout plan, you still have to show up to the gym and lift the weights every week for big progress, like me, dude. That's why I'm so huge, okay? The skill of arranging is comprised of 3 micro skills. Your ear strength, accurately hearing pitches, that's pitch recognition, we've already talked about that. Workflow speed, getting notes on the page as easy and fast as possible. And guitar technique, your playing level, which means basically if your guitar technique is better, you can do more complex stuff in your arrangements. Everybody is at a different level with each micro skill. So for example, you might be 5 out of 5 with guitar technique. Your ear might be really good, 4 out of 5, and your workflow skill might be pretty bad. Maybe it's on the low end because you don't have a good process. Now, our goal is to level up these things, okay? Your ear and your workflow skill. One of the best ways to improve both skills at the same time is to, drum roll, I was considering doing the drum roll and I decided not to. It feels lame. Is to actually arrange. Okay, that's right, just arrange stuff. Now, I know what you're thinking. Duh, Sam. Oh. But it's not that simple, dog. Okay, here's the issue. If you randomly choose songs to work on without taking difficulty into account, 2 things will happen. Okay, either A, it'll be too easy, you will make slow overall progress, or B, the songs will be too hard and you'll struggle and there'll be a risk of quitting because you're overwhelmed. That sucks. Okay, I found it's best to ramp up the difficulty so things are challenging but not impossible. Now, here's the order I think of difficulty. Single line melodies, then melody and bass, then 3 voice arrangements, and this is all guitar transcription, then simple non-guitar music, then complex non-guitar music. So like I said, the first 3, I would just do guitar transcriptions first, which is where you're hearing something that already exists on guitar. It's like a guitar piece of music, and then you're basically transcribing that, you're arranging that. And after that, I would get into non-guitar music because there's a lot of complexity with non-guitar stuff. Now, if you fall into one of these 2 camps, either you're a beginner arranger or you're learning a new system, which everybody should be in one of these 2 camps, you should start with guitar transcriptions before you attempt to arrange non-guitar music. Now, what is a guitar transcription? I kind of already explained it. It's taking an MP3 of a solo guitar piece and writing what you hear into Guitar Pro in order to reconstruct it. You're essentially figuring it out by ear. Now, the benefits of doing guitar transcriptions are this, okay? You know every note is playable in the exact spot you're hearing it, okay? Because they're playing guitar and you're arranging for guitar. There's only one way to handle each element, the melody and the bass, etc. You don't have to experiment with keys and tunings. Okay, you know the thing is, you know it's in a particular key, you know it's in a particular tuning, and it's working. That's what you're hearing in the MP3, right? It's got a familiar timbre. I don't think this matters a ton, but some people think it matters. And now, if tabs exist, you can check your work when you finish, tabs or sheet music. Now, arranging a non-guitar song is a whole bunch of small problems wrapped into one mega problem, right? You have to worry about deciphering rhythms, adding notes, removing notes, fingering, not confusing the melody, song selection, transposition, pitch recognition, element hierarchy, creativity, note location, changing notes, note input, a lot of stuff, okay? The simpler the song we're arranging, the less problems we need to worry about. In my opinion, the simple song played on solo guitar is as easy as it gets. So a simple guitar transcription makes the mega problem of arranging significantly less mega, because you only have to worry about song selection, what song do I choose, fingering, how do I actually finger this thing, pitch recognition, that's 3, note location, deciphering rhythms, and note input, which equals less overwhelm, more core workflow reps. Okay, so mouse clicks and everything, so you're actually learning the process a lot faster, which means quicker progress, and more early wins, which is like finished projects. Now, I myself started my arranging journey on accident by learning solo guitar pieces. If I had started with difficult non-guitar music, I may have gotten frustrated and given up. So, how do we find a good guitar tune to transcribe? So, what you're going to do, search YouTube for composers that wrote simple tunes. Like, for example, Carulli is a great one. He wrote really easy stuff. Or Sor or Giuliani. Giuliani. Okay? Now, here's some keyword paths. So, this is some of the stuff I'd actually type into the YouTube search bar. You'd put in the composer and then Guitar Pro. So, for example, Carulli, Guitar Pro. And what you're going to get are like Guitar Pro versions of these songs. The pros of this stuff is if you get the MP3 audio from this stuff, they'll be easier to sync because they're like MIDI and they're like locked to a grid, and you can check your answers afterwards. So you can do an arrangement and you can look at the actual tab afterwards to see how close you are. Freaking awesome. The cons of it is that it's MIDI audio, so it sounds a little worse. Now, here's another keyword path. You could put in, for example, Carulli guitar, and you'll get people actually playing the stuff on their guitar. Now, the pros of this is that it's real audio, so you're going to be listening to real audio while you do your transcription. The cons is that when it's a dude playing guitar, people tend to fluctuate in tempo a lot, especially guitar players. That's for another video. And that makes your sync a little bit harder. So if you're starting out, probably getting the MIDI files is going to be better off for you. It's going to make the syncing process a lot easier. Trust me. Trust me, okay? Or check this one out. This is kind of a cool one. You can put composer and then guitar tab. And you can find something like this. That's a real player, but then they have the tab underneath. Now, the pros of this, you're going to hear real audio, and you can check your answers afterwards because there is a tab. But the cons are still that there's going to be some tempo fluctuations, and the sync is going to be harder. Now, here's a little bonus search tip. Click filters and click under 4 minutes. Okay? Because the shorter the piece, the quicker you'll finish it. And that'll be like, yay, and you'll feel good about that. Then you have to download the MP3 from the YouTube video using the best app that I've found, and I've tried a few, all right? It's called 4K YouTube to MP3. Google it. It looks like a little like malware or something, but it's legit, okay? It's good. It's not gonna give you some viruses, bro. Okay? Now, what you're gonna do then is you're gonna grab that address for the song you want to transcribe. You paste it into 4K YouTube MP3. You get the MP3 and you drop that puppy into Guitar Pro. Now, then you sync it and you just start transcribing, all right? Now, finding your own tunes to practice with is awesome. Like we just said, like totally do that. That's freaking great. But there's an even easier way, an even better way if you're interested, all right? This is a course plug incoming, okay? So buckle up. So the Guitar Arranging Accelerator, this is my program. It's got 72 mini arrangements. I'm scrolling through them right here. And they get harder as you work through them. So you always have the perfect practice material for your current level. So maybe you're a total beginner with arranging. Maybe you've been doing it for a while. They start out dead easy, single line melodies, and eventually by the end, they're freaking insane. All right, they're like the craziest video game music you can think of. Now, each mini arrangement is a Guitar Pro file that's all ready to dive into. It's sunk up, it's pre-sunk, and it's ready for you to start arranging with, okay? So it might sound like this, for example, all right? You're basically trying to arrange this song. You actually get a hint track that tells you, which strings the notes are on, but not what frets they're on. And then you work through, you do your arrangement, and at the end you can actually see a solution. You can see what I would have done had I arranged the thing. Right? Pretty cool. And you just build your arrangement out on this blank staff. Every single file is ready to go with all the staffs and everything. So you're good. Now, of course, okay, there's still a lot of important steps to make the best possible arrangement as easily and as quickly as possible. And again, that's the actual flowchart that we use. Now, if you're cool with it, I'm going to tell you a bit more about the Guitar Arranging Accelerator. Okay, it's my signature program, including an in-depth training platform. It spans lessons, exercises, demonstrations, everything else you need to crush your arranging journey. This is like some of the stuff that people have said about it. I'm just going to real quickly kind of cycle through these. If you want to stop the video and read these, you can go for it. And we're going to dive into a couple of these specifically in a second here, okay? Okay, so this is Mike, dude. The very first arrangement that Mike did, he hadn't done any arrangement. It's a thing from Resident Evil, and it's honestly, it is sick enough that I would play it on my YouTube channel. I mean, he's crushing on YouTube. He's annihilating with arrangements, and he's moving super, super fast. This is Riley. He took 2 to 3 years to make one good arrangement, and after 3 months, he was almost done with 10 to 12 different songs. This is from, I don't freaking know what that's from. Kingdom Hearts? Yeah. Simon was actually logging his arranging time before and after the course, and he got 230% faster. This is Ari. Ari makes crazy complex arrangements. Nate used to scrap his arrangements because they did not translate to guitar, or else he thought they were not going to translate, but he just didn't have a really good process. This is Moon. He does really cool jazz stuff. This is from K-SZA, right? Are you ready to learn what they did, bro? Okay? By having the system at your fingertips, imagine where your arranging could be in 1 year. Okay? Okay, once again, here's the overview, right? Let's zoom in on that overview, okay? So, there's a lot of stuff that you get. There's Google Docs, there's video lessons, there's a ton of graphics, there's everything you need to basically learn this and crush this. And every single thing in this flowchart is a link that you can click on, and it goes to a big, huge, longer thing. It's freaking sick, all right? So now, listen, it's not just about knowing what to do. It's giving you everything to do, all right? So, I mentioned the mini arrangements, exercises, lessons, worksheets, demos, all that stuff. It's all in there. I also do live weekly arranging coaching calls where people basically bring their arrangements to me. I open them up, and then we kind of like go over them live. It's pretty sick. So you can get help with your personal arrangements, guidance with exercises, improve your personal sticking points, diagnose fingering problems. This is a huge thing for people. Getting help with syncing, literally anything you want that's like arranging related, you can ask on those calls. And you get private community access so you can show off your arrangements. You can get help from others. And honestly, the main thing is to just get even more help from me. Like if you need help today, that's the best place to do it. Now, this method is tested and proven with real guitar players of different levels. I've had almost 100 people go through this right by now, and I was kind of teaching it in private for a while just to make sure it all worked. And as you see on my YouTube channel, I've been like releasing a lot more content about it, but I've been teaching it for a long time. Now, if you're thinking, I'm ready, bro, I want to crush this arranging thing, then let me help, buddy, okay? Now, there's going to be a link in the description. That's going to go to a page where you can book a free call with me. Again, it's totally free. We can map out kind of like, how to crush your guitar arranging goals and your technique goals. Actually, I'm basically like doing a technique course that everyone's going to get for free, for now. I'm doing a kind of a special thing right now. That course is not out yet. But hey, listen, I would be super psyched to chat with you if this resonates with you, if the arranging stuff feels like it could be cool. I've helped tons of people just like you, start making covers on their YouTube channel, start performing their covers, or, some people just want to do them for themselves. That's totally fine. But yeah, if you're down, let's get in a call. Let's chat. That would be freaking sick. I would love to. Be awesome to meet you. I'm chill. I'm okay. I'm not as goofy on a call, unless you want me to be goofy on the call. Unless I'll be what you want me to be. And then last but not least, of course, when you book that, you will get a free ear training app. You will get that app totally for free. Okay, so you can start training your ear immediately. And yeah, that's about it. If this seems cool to you, go ahead and smash that link. Check that out, and then you'll see a big button over there that says apply now, and then you can book a call with me. All right, that's it. Peace, bro.